This is IDS 110, Chapter 5, Thinking Critically, the Basis of a College Education. Student Profile, Donna Williford. Donna is a student in a healthcare-related field and understands the importance of critical thinking skills both inside and outside the classroom. Donna enrolled in college at age 41 after a variety of jobs that all required critical thinking skills. Donna encourages other first-year students to be open to changes and new ideas. Arguably, the most important skill you will acquire in college is the ability and confidence to think for yourself. Courses in every discipline will encourage you to ask questions, to sort through competing information and ideas, to form well-reasoned opinions, and to defend them. Liberal education. The word liberal, from the Latin libero meaning to free, represents the purpose of a college education, to liberate your mind from biases, superstitions, prejudices, and lack of knowledge, so you will be in a better position to seek answers to difficult questions. Most important questions don't have simple answers, and satisfying answers can be elusive. To reach them, you will have to discover numerous ways to view important issues. You will need to become comfortable with uncertainty. You must be willing to challenge assumptions and conclusions, even those presented by so-called experts. What is critical thinking and why is it important? Critical thinking is not negative or harsh. Critical thinking refers to the thoughtful consideration of the information, ideas, and arguments that you encounter. Critical thinking is the ability to think for yourself and to reliably and responsibly make the decisions that affect your life. Richard Paul and Linda Elder of the National Council for Excellence in Critical Thinking explain it as, critical thinking is that mode of thinking about any subject, content, or problem in which the thinker improves the quality of his or her thinking by skillfully imposing intellectual standards upon his or her thoughts. Some people simply follow authority. They do not question, are not curious, and do not challenge people or groups who claim special knowledge or insight. Critical thinkers, in contrast, investigate problems, ask questions, pose new answers that challenge the status quo, discover new information, question authorities and traditional beliefs, challenge received dogmas and doctrines, make independent judgments, and develop creative solutions. Employers want workers who can find reliable information, analyze it, organize it, draw conclusions from it, and present it convincingly to others. Becoming a critical thinker. In essence, critical thinking is a search for truth. Much of what you read and hear will be contradictory or seem suspect. How do you decide what to believe? Paul and Elder remind us there may be more than one right answer to any given question. You must determine which of the truths is most plausible and then draw on them to develop your own ideas. Difficult problems require that one weighs options and thinks through consequences before reaching an informed decision. Critical thinking also involves improving the way you think about a subject, statement, or idea. To do this, you need to ask questions, consider several different points of view, and then draw your own conclusions. Ask questions. The first step of thinking critically is to engage your curiosity. Rather than accept statements at face value, question them. Consider whether you can trust a person or institution making a particular claim, and whether they have provided enough supporting evidence to back up their assertion. Ask who is likely to agree or disagree and why. Ask how a new concept relates to what you already know, where you might find more information about the subject, and what you could do with what you learn. Finally, ask yourself about the implications and consequences of accepting something as truth. Will you have to change your perspective or give up a long-held belief? Will it require you to behave differently? Will further investigation be necessary? Do you anticipate having to try to convince others to accept this new way of thinking? Consider multiple points of view. As you start asking questions, you will typically discover a lot of different possible answers. Don't be too quick to draw a conclusion and move on. To become a critical thinker, you need to be fair and open-minded, even if your first impression is not positive. Your goal is to find the truth or best action, not to confirm what you already believe, so give each possibility serious consideration. In class discussions, instructors might often insist that more than one valid point of view exists. The more ideas you entertain, the more sophisticated your own thinking becomes. Draw conclusions. Once you have considered different points of view, it is up to you to reach your own conclusions, to craft a new idea based on what you've learned, or to make a decision about what you will do with the information you have. This process is not necessarily a matter of figuring out the best idea. Depending upon the goals of the activity, it might be simply the one that you think is the most fun or the most practical. A business decision might involve cost-benefit ratio. A social worker might conduct multiple interviews before recommending a counseling plan for a struggling family. Drawing conclusions involves looking at the outcome of your inquiry in a more demanding, critical way. How collaboration fosters critical thinking. A 1995 study by Professor Aniruddha Gokhale at Western Illinois University, published in the Journal of Technology Education, found that students who participated in collaborative learning performed significantly better on a test requiring critical thinking than students who studied individually. Having more than one student involved in the learning process generates a greater number of ideas. People think more clearly when they are talking as well as listening. Creative brainstorming and group discussions encourage original thought. These habits also teach participants to consider alternative points of view and to express and defend their own ideas clearly. Teamwork improves your ability to think critically, whether in person or through electronic communication. Thinking critically about arguments. An argument in critical thinking is a calm, reasoned effort to persuade someone of the value of an idea. Arguments are central to academic study, work, and life. Effective arguments make a general claim, provide reasons to support it, and back up those reasons with evidence. It is important to consider multiple points of view or arguments in tackling new ideas and complex questions. All arguments are not equally valid. Good critical thinking involves thinking creatively about the assumptions that might have been left out and scrutinizing the quality of supportive evidence for a claim. Challenging assumptions. All too often, our beliefs are based on gut feelings or on blind acceptance of something we've heard or read. Assumptions that influence important decisions or serve as the foundation for an argument must be examined thoughtfully. Examine the evidence. The evidence that is offered as support for an argument can vary in quality. Critical thinkers are careful to check out the evidence supporting an argument, whether someone else's or their own, is of the highest possible quality. To do that, simply ask a few questions about the arguments as you consider them. What general idea am I being asked to accept? Are good and sufficient reasons given to support the overall claim? Are those reasons backed up with evidence in the form of facts, statistics, and quotations? Does the evidence support the conclusions? Is the argument based on logical reasoning, or does it appeal mainly to the emotions? Do I recognize any questionable assumptions? Can I think of any counter-arguments? What facts can I offer as proof? What do I know about the person or organization making the argument? If after having evaluated the evidence used in support of a claim, you're still not certain of its quality, it's best to keep looking. Drawing on questionable evidence for an argument has a tendency to backfire. Beware of logical fallacies. A critical thinker has an attitude of wanting to avoid nonsense, to find the truth, and to discover the best action. Critical thinkers aim to be logical rather than emotional or defensive. Some of the most common missteps made in the use of logic include attacking the person. It is acceptable to argue against another's position, but it is not okay to attack the person. Begging. The statements don't provide evidence. Instead, give facts and reasons. Appealing to false authority. The appearance of authority rather than real evidence. Logical fallacies. Jumping on a bandwagon just because a lot of other people believe it doesn't mean it is correct. Assuming that something is true because it hasn't been proven false, even in science, few things are ever proved completely false, so beware of accepting things just because they have not been proven wrong. Falling victim to false cause. Frequently, we make the assumption that just because one event followed another, the first event must have caused the second. Easy before and after claims are rarely correct. Beware of them. Making hasty generalizations. Reaching a conclusion based on the opinion of one source is not acceptable. Accurate reasoning is a key factor for success in college and in life. Critical thinking in college and everyday life. As you practice the skills of critical thinking in college, they start to become a natural part of your life. Checklists for success in critical thinking. Make sure you understand what critical thinking means. Find ways to express your imagination and curiosity. Practice asking questions. Challenge your own and others' assumptions that are not supported by evidence. During class lectures, presentations, and discussions, practice thinking about the subject discussed from multiple points of view. Draw your own conclusions and explain to others what evidence you considered that led to those positions. Join study groups or class project teams and work as a team member with other students. Learn to identify false claims in commercials and in political arguments, and practice critical thinking not only in your academic work, but also in your everyday interactions with friends and family. And this is the end of IDS 110, Chapter 5.